Today is August and it's International Pirate Month. My name is Daniel Fury with Salem Black Cat Tours, and I'll tell you a little bit about the pirate history of Salem, Massachusetts. Now, Salem gets its beginnings back in 1626, and it became a very important shipping port immediately. You'd have ships traveling into the Caribbean and traveling across the Atlantic, and then after the American Revolutionary War, you would see Salem merchants open up trade to India and China. Salem became so important on the China trade that there are maps, many maps made in China at the time, that show the route to the United States, and the entirety of North America is labeled as Salem. So you can imagine that there were a lot of pirates that were turning their attention towards this area. You'd see a lot of ships leaving that were packed with rum and sugar and pepper and, of course, silver. And that actually leads us to the first subject, which is a Salem ship back in 1832, a ship called the Mexican, a brig that was on its way to Rio de Janeiro. It had about $20,000 worth of silver. Now, that ship reached around Florida when it encountered a schooner called the Panda. Now, the Panda was a pirate ship under the command of Captain Pedro Guibert, who liked to be called Don Pedro. It was a noble title, even though he himself wasn't particularly noble in his lineage or in his character. Now, as Don Pedro pulled up along the side of the Mexican, he demanded to be allowed to inspect the cargo. The sailors refused and a huge battle broke out. Now, the pirates were victorious. They locked their captives down in the hold and they emptied the ship out of all the silver. The pirates approached the captain, Don Pedro, and said, "What should we do with all these captives that we have locked below?" And the captain responded with the phrase, "Dead cats don't mew, you know what to do," which is believed to be the basis for the old pirate favorite, "Dead men tell no tales." The pirates lit the ship on fire, and they headed off into the sunset, counting their ill-gotten goods, probably laughing, which pirates were wont to do. But they wouldn't have been laughing if they realized that Captain William Buttman of that ship, the Mexican, had overheard the pirates plotting. He and his men escaped from the hold, and they kept the piece of the fire still burning, so they doused most of it, but they left some of it still burning so that the pirates would see the smoke coming up out of the ship as they sailed off. Once they were sure the pirates were gone, they made their way back home, and they told the stories of Don Pedro and the Mexican. Now, the ship was captured by the British Navy, and the pirates were taken back to Salem, where they were marched through the street while hundreds of people mocked and jeered at them, and they were put on display in chains at Derby Square in front of the Old Town Hall. The pirates were then taken down to Boston, where they were found guilty of piracy and they were hanged. The great age of piracy was almost at an end, and this was actually the last recorded act of piracy in American waters.
Hello, I'm Lara Fury with Black Cat Tours, and the story that I have for you is a little bit more ghostly. Now, many of you will be familiar with our good friend Edward Teach, more infamously known as Blackbeard. Now, Blackbeard was a very successful pirate, roving up and down the Atlantic coast, taking many ships. He was a bit of a theatrical person as well. He would tie lit fuses into his beard so that his face would be wreathed with smoke, looking like the devil himself. Now, tragically, we lost our king of the pirates in a battle against Lieutenant Maynard, where he was killed at sea. Now, what happened to Blackbeard's head afterwards is a bit more of a mystery. Eventually, it turned up in the possession of a man named Edward Rose Snow, a very famous historian and descendant of a pirate hunter. Upon his death, it was bequeathed to the Peabody Essex Museum here in Salem, Massachusetts. But it came with a bit of a caveat. Blackbeard's skull could never be displayed at night. If it was, its eyes would glow a fiery red, ghostly voices would be heard, and perhaps it would put a curse upon whomever or whatever unearthed it. Now, unfortunately, you cannot see the skull very often. It is very rarely put out for public display. But there is another way you can see Blackbeard in the city of Salem. If you go to the old Burying Point Cemetery at night, don't go in, the gates are locked, but if you look in, you may see a tall figure, a long gray coat, shiny black buttons in the moonlight, and no head. This figure has been seen for many years, and perhaps it could be the figure of Blackbeard himself coming to reclaim what he once lost. From Black Cat Tours and the Pirates of the Rogues Armada, thanks for watching, and happy International Pirates Month.
Welcome back, mates. We hope you enjoyed what was basically a double video. We want to thank our mates Lara and Daniel Fury of Black Cat Tours in Salem, Massachusetts. You can find them online at www.blackcatsalem.com, or if you happen to be in Salem, particularly in October, stop by their booth, buy tickets. You can go on either an historical tour or a ghostly tour by evening. And who knows, they may even tell you a little bit more about Blackbeard's Skull, which unfortunately is not on display anymore for reasons that we won't discuss right now. But what we should discuss is Feeding America. We have a link in our description where you can make a donation to this worthy charity and help families meet their food needs. Every dollar counting is greatly appreciated, so please click on the link in the description. Tell your friends about International Pirate Month. Come back tomorrow for another video. See you then.